Hello, everyone. I'd like to cover some of the predictions that have come true so that you get more trust in the Nadi that these predictions do come true. And then I would also like to cover the types of Nadi and what on earth is Nadi anyway. And most people don't know. So, first, let's cover the predictions that have come true. In 2026, these are the predictions that I had mentioned to you. I think it was back in probably in January, I believe, that I covered these predictions that had come in several of my Nadi question and answer sessions. There would be an arrogant ruler of an empire who will arrest or kill leader or leaders of a less powerful country or countries actually, and that would happen when the sun joins Saturn. And when Sun joins Saturn, there will be some political conflict. So, what is happening right now in Iran is, in terms of interpreting the Nadi, it was interpreted as a political conflict or a war. And the term that when Sun joins Saturn can be interpreted in many ways. So, what the Nadi said is that when Sun is in Capricorn from January 15th, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And it said that it will start in a small way in January. And as you can, if you remember, there was, several warnings that were given by the US before it attacked Iran that if you don't do this, this, or this, there'll be consequences. And of course, this whole thing with Venezuela also started then. And then when Sun is in Aquarius from February 15th, Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. And then, of course, we saw an escalations happening throughout March. And when Sun conjunct Saturn, there was an escalation also, and that was March 25th. So the other thing it said is that this country that will be attacked and where the leader will be taken out, that country will attack America's allies, which has happened because Israel is one of them. But also, the Gulf countries were attacked in this conflict. And then it said, of course, to follow America's opponents like China and Russia will take revenge, ultimately directly, but initially indirectly. So this is some of the things that have already come true. And then there was another one that I would like to share, which I had again asked many questions prior to this. I had asked many questions, and one of the questions pertained to 2026. So these different nadis had come back with these answers from different nadi readers. And for 2026, one of the predictions is that America and Europe would go against each other. And this is not like in terms of war, but, it would be indirect. And we have seen that, whether it's with Greenland or it's regarding NATO, and now even this breakup of NATO or America thinking of leaving NATO. But there has been friction between America and Europe, which has come true. Then this war in the Middle East will grow and escalate. The war, meaning it talked about Israel and it talked about Gaza and it talked about that whole region. And now we are seeing that with this, intense war going on with the Hezbollah in Lebanon, it has grown and escalated, which was not apparent in December. And these questions were asked in December of 2025. And it said also that Russia and Ukraine war will continue and there will be many more deaths. And you can see that this war is continuing even now. And there have been several attacks by both sides in this war. February, March, and April will see some major problems, which we are seeing. The next one it talks about is the internet virus. Now, some of this internet virus and cyber warfare has already happened, but I feel that some more may come in the future. So let's hope not. But there are undersea cables also in the Middle East, in the Strait of Hormuz, and also in the Red Sea. And hopefully, there would be no such thing where those cables would be cut. That would be pretty devastating, especially to Europe. I'm sorry, to Asia and some of Europe, not so much to the US. So those are the predictions that have come true so far. And remember, these predictions were asked in December and early January, like I think the one that I shared earlier with, like, in the first week of January. So when we see these predictions come true, we can assume, or we can extrapolate, that some of these future predictions also have a high probability of coming true. So that's why I wanted to share that with you. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is that, people say, my Nadi was read, and what on earth is Nadi? And people have a very generic idea, if anything at all, about what Nadi is. See, Nadi is just a Tamil word which means in search of. Now, what we in common terms call Nadi is actually Shastras, are ancient texts which are written on palm leaves by sages. And we generalize it by saying Nadi. People do not know that there are many, many types of Nadis, okay? It's not like there's one type of Nadi and that's it. No. Um, for example, in South India, it's called Nadi. I'll go and tell you about North India. But all of these rishis, there are many, many rishis, and you can see some of them here. Agastya Nadi, Atri Rishi Nadi, Brigu Rishi Nadi, Bogar Siddhar Nadi, this Brahma Sukshma Nadi, Buddha Nadi, Chandra Nadi. So there are many divine beings, like there's Ganesh Nadi. There are many divine beings who gave messages to the rishis to write. It's almost like, when people channel, like, somebody's channeling, I don't know, Jesus or somebody. Now, these sages, they're enlightened sages. For them, it's very easy to receive the message from Shiva, from Ganesh, from any of these higher beings, and then write these texts with predictions. Okay. The other thing is that the rishis themselves also wrote these nadis, like Agastya and Vashishta and all these ones that you're seeing on the screen. So there are many, 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 many types of nadis. Okay. So the first thing you should do when you approach a nadi reader, you should ask them, which nadis do you read? Because a lot of these nadi readers don't even tell you, they'll go look for. So typically they will read one or two or three of these nadis. Some of the families of Etish and Kovil now are reading the Shivanadi. Now, even the Shivanadi has many branches. Okay, so Shivanadi has the Sukshmanadi, Tulyanadi, Ati Sukshmanadi, and they are in various levels of detail. So you should ask a Nadi reader, what Nadis do you read? How much do you charge for them? Because the more detailed a Nadi is, the more they will charge. Okay. Because some people say, oh, some other Nadi readers taking 5,000 rupees for a Nadi reading. How come you're taking 9,000? And they think there's like just one Nadi. Okay. No, it's like these ancient texts, like the Vedas. There are so many Vedas, different chapters written by different rishis, and Upanishads, and there is a whole plethora of texts written by these rishis. Now, these texts, the predictive texts, that are personal predictions for individuals written by these rishis. So it's as though these rishis have become your astrologer and written personal predictions for you. Even Jyotish astrology, the Vedic astrology, was also written by rishis. So the underlying principles regarding planets and transits and different houses is still used in the Nadi system. It's not separate from Jyotish, but it is also combines your karma, rishis' intuitions, and various things are combined to give you a personal predictions. Okay. um, the most detailed nadi that I have had read, or the category, is called Ati Sukshma. Okay, so there can be a Shiva Ati Sukshma nadi, or there could be, for example, Brighu Ati Sukshma nadi. Okay, so Ati Sukshma means very detailed. Brighu is the Rishi, and then Ati Sukshma means very detailed. That goes year by year. When it's Sukshma nadi, which is detailed, it's usually every 3 years of your life. And then there is another one which is called Tulya Nadi, like Shiva Tulya Nadi, which is usually every 2 years. So these are some of the common nadis, and of course, everybody's heard of Agastya Nadi. Now, in Agastya Nadi, there could be Perinul. Perinul means big book, okay, and Serinul, which is small book. Perinul is a little more detailed, but still, I found Agastya Nadi to be a little more generalized. Usually, like say in broad brushes. It doesn't go into very, very detailed predictions like the Shivanadi. So there's a lot more to it, but this gives you an idea that you should know which Nadi was first of all read. If you hadn't found out, it should be in your recording. So when they record your predictions, in the first few sentences, this will say that on this day, this Nadi, which is a Shiva Sukshma Nadi, was read for this person. Okay. Now in North India, there are called samhitas. Like I would say in South India, even though they're called nadis, they are really texts, which we call shastras, sacred texts. Okay, because they're written by the rishis, so they're sacred texts, just like the Vedas and the Gita. And in North India, they're called samhitas. It's similar, like samhita and Shastra. It's similar. The meaning Samhita is slightly different, but anyway. So in North India, first of all, we have the 15th, 16th century saints of Bihar, Odisha. The Panchasakas that you might have heard of, the Bhavishyamalika, which I've had on my channel also. But the one that is most famous in North India, it's called Brighu Samhita. But there are other samhitas also written by other either sages or conveyed or channeled by sages. Okay, so I just wanted to show this to you. Now I have talked about, I have made the Nadi chapters publicly available, and so if you go to my blog, rishisreturn.blogspot.com, and I'll put this in the comments as well. You can see the different chapters there are in Nadi. Okay, so there are many, many different types of chapters. The one that has to be read is the general chapter. In the Tamil, it's called Pothukandam. The general chapter has to be read for everyone. Okay, now most people don't read the other chapters. There are 12 main chapters, very similar to astrology, where you have the 12 houses, the bhavas. So for each house there is a subject that is covered, right? So these chapters are subject specific or topic specific. For example, the 7th chapter is about marriage and partners, and 8th is usually about death and danger to life and all that. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So there's 12 main chapters. Apart from the 12 main chapters, usually the Shanti Kandam, which is about one previous past life, along with its remedies, is read. And then the Diksha Kandam, which is about remedies for the current life because of malefic effects, is also generally read. So the general chapter, the past life chapter, the Shanti Kandam, and the Diksha Kandam, which is for this life with its remedies. So there's remedies for the past life and this life. They are usually read. And then there are many other chapters like Aushadhiya or Aushad Kandam is for herbs and other, like say Ayurvedic medicines, that if you're not well and if you're seeking some remedies, you can ask for that. Dasha Bhukti is for predictions that are given by transits. And then for those who are spiritual, they can have their Gyan Kandam read, which is the spiritual chapter where you'll get direct guidance from that rishi, and or from that divine being. Like I had my Shivanadi Gyan Kand read, which is guidance from Shiva. Then the Q&A chapter, which I call the Q&A chapter, which is the Prashna Kand. And there are so and so forth. There are other chapters as well that I have listed here. For politician, the RSCL Kandam is very popular as well. Some of these are rare, and for example, the Manomaya Kandam is very rare. The Rishi knows the questions which are in your mind, so that's even more mystical. So this is what I wanted to share with all of you, so you have a little better understanding of what these in nadis are, the nadi chapters, and so on and so forth. Because a lot of people have a very vague idea at best about what this is. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my channel so that I get more viewers, especially if I have important predictions that I want to warn people about and to protect people's lives. So please, if you're viewing this video, do subscribe, because I have some of these videos have like 100,000 views, but I only have 10,000 subscribers. So it doesn't harm you in any way if you subscribe to my channel, but at least it gives me an idea how many people this message is going out to. So I appreciate that. And thank you for listening. See you again.